Father Stanislav Barszczak, standing in the rubble of truths. If I had not become a priest, I would not be a writer. When I was 10, no one knew who I wanted to be. I only knew that I didn't want to be an astronaut or an athlete, but a writer. Perhaps only Mr. Bronislav, with his wife in our village, my mother's faithful companion, in socialist Poland, Republic of People, felt that during happy meeting after work in glassworks. I had a wristwatch from Mom. I was wearing her corduroy suit, silk suit, writing poetry and practicing masturbation is a typical phenomenon of that age. What else? The primary school had a manager in our village. Then the headmaster appeared. Finally, Father Stanislav took me by train to high school. Father Rector took me 4 years later to the seminary. I wanted to fulfill my duties as a priest, very conscientiously, but the hunger for learning was strong from the beginning. Priestly ordination took place on Sunday, May 18, 1986. I will never forget the first Holy Mass. As I said, I was learning to be strong. On day I started writing notes in a calendar. I was 18 in 1979. Finally came to the faithful years of working in the parish. Then I was never able to be those years again. The articles and my essays appeared in priest drawers, first in typescript. Do you remember the way of each dot? My underlines of each page? I do. In 2004, my first 2 books appeared in the Sunspring with the articulation of 500 copies each book, each one. You can learn strength, but style is a gift like the grace of the priesthood. At first, I am as disgusting. Mother Teresa of Calcutta was repugnant. Sometimes, you know, I swim poorly because I have never been fully relaxed yet. Hence, I always want to live the first 5 days. I haven't earned anything on my text yet. Maybe 5 cents for the first elaborations. So I'm flying or running to the Curia of Częstochowa for an allowance. I expect a pension, a benefit, that will be sent to my balance on my account in the bank. And I finally get a few terrible days of waiting for a not my money. The long awaiting moment comes at the end of the weekend. I finally save my essay draft. In fact, the very logic of the text ends my essay or short story. But first, I have the kind of noise in my head that I plan to write down on even toilet paper. And only then, but I am writing at an accelerated pace in the notebook of the Huawei phone. 30 years ago, it was a typewriter. Then I have the practical too. I leave my colleagues. I don't have meeting with them at that time because I want to write something new. And I write down every ends and what is circulating in my belly. The dog does not lie, as you know. That's the way it is. The cat lives up to 12 or 15 years. I save my entire long history in my writing. I do not always succeed in this. As I said, I wrote many tales in my life. For example, cousin of a 18th century about the Pope, his name Clemens XII. He was climbed at the end of his life. He'd perished memory. But there were lots of cardinals in Vatican there. For this reason, was as a Pope 10 years. Cousin of the 18th century. And another, I went to Avignon, where is the palace of the popes, and then I've written the text titled Le Moulin de l'Oubli in French, about the Pope, his name Clemens VI. He was artist, edificator of the Grand Chapelle. Beautiful story, meeting with Polish people during the time of the kingdom of Casimir the Great in Poland. I was always narrating. Even academic papers had the form of a narration. I don't know. It is sufficient, it is good. But as I said, in prose, the image forms the language, has to follow the story. Very beautiful very interesting life of Umberto Eco. I would like to mention at that moment. He was very great writer of the contemporary time. in his latest novel, The Prague Cemetery, he is a literary master. He spins prose and at once compelling and complex, full of facts, twists, and details, born of scholarship in philosophy, medievalism, and semiotics of today. Here, in this novel, he summons a wealth of assassination and intrigue and serves up a conspiracy theory rooted in the 19th century history, inspired by the era Eco calls full of monstrous and mysterious events. All the characters, except its main one, really existed. It poses the very interesting question: what if every conspiracy in a world full of conspiracies were connected by a single evil genius who turned modern history into a massive diatribe that will govern how we think? For this reason, we must rethink our story, our literature story, and so on. Very famous writer of Italy wrote, "I was at the point in life where you either, like Rimbaud, escape to Africa to sell guns, or you escape with a Cuban ballerina and abandon the family, or you write a novel. I need to know the number of steps in a staircase in order to make my character climb up. For this reason, I create in my essays and articles and 12 books which I've published. I myself have translated my books into 9 languages. In internet, I have a blog. I create some starting points in my writing, then the essay writes itself by itself. I simply have to follow the logic of the characters or essay's draft. I am trying to rebuild a shared sense of what is true. And I would like to write in the next future a bigger piece, a novel of my life, but it depends on the history of mine. I don't know if the 12 books I wrote and the unpublished ones are good. Do I believe in God? God believes in me. Thank you for your understanding, and I pray for you always.